I have found that overt narcissists versus covert narcissists tend to lie in a different way. Now, I've shared this before, an example. This guy's name was Tom at Brackett Airport. He had replaced our other maintenance guy who was also Tom. That was amazing. And he lived near the airport. They brought this guy from outside state because he was friends with the new manager, and that new manager gave him that position. The guy never fixed a single thing. He always broke everything more or refused to fix it because, quote, it's just going to break again anyway, unquote. He really said that. A maintenance guy. Very privileged, very entitled white boomer male. And one day, a colleague of mine, Virginia, said it's time to give her car an oil change, and he went off on that. Well, gee, I guess it's just totaled. Throw that thing to the scrap. Buy a new car. And everyone's watching this guy, just being so loud, acting as though she said something she clearly did not say. Now, he was not from California, so he did not know that that was behavior that's just not acceptable there. Now that I am in the Midwest, I see why he acted that way and why it seems reasonable to people out here. Is that behavior here is basically encouraged. Very weird, very strange, very different, but won't get into that. But we were all just looking at this guy puzzled. Now, with me, because my father is from the Midwest, I experienced that before with only my dad. And despite him moving to California when he was 5, he still had the genes. So he acted that way. It's genetic. But I could see to everyone else at the airport this was very strange and foreign to them. And even I was still puzzled, like I always am, even to this day, by such behavior. Later on, he's on the phone with a friend talking about, yeah, she's saying it's time to get a new car. This one needs an oil change. Blah blah blah. Apparently, she's been getting a new car once the oil change is done. Or once the oil is due. She doesn't even know. Making fun. Completely fabricated story. And the people who were in the office when he was on the phone being that loud in front of everyone with no embarrassment, no shame. We were just astonished looking at this guy. What the heck is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this person? Well, through life, I would come to find that narcissists tend to lie about people a lot in order to make it seem like their very basic knowledge is somehow superior. And it's not. In order to make themselves look good, they need to knock other people down. And they'll do it in a juvenile way, such as that, and incapable of feeling embarrassment, especially if they live in a society that does not correct them. At that airport, if he was taken aside immediately and corrected and told not to act that way, not to be loud, not to be belligerent, not to lie about colleagues and lie about them to make them seem like they have such a lack of intelligence because it's harassment, then that behavior would quickly be curved. Very quickly. Now, with the covert narcissist, it is very different how they insult you. Remember, they have their goal as well, but their goal is not to look superior. Their goal is to look like a victim of something and to gain pity. My ex-wife, she knew how big I was on women's rights. I'd written laws, one good law that passed for restraining orders in the state of Indiana. Um, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm passionate about. Getting oil wells through Africa, especially throughout Nigeria, um, to if I can help single mothers. I got I got a place in my heart. I got a place in my heart for single mothers. I don't know why. I remember my therapist Jennifer told me that she why, and I was like, that's it, and I can't remember now. I have a place in my heart for orphans, for the homeless. But my ex-wife, a very severe covert narcissist, I apologize. She knew that I was very big on staying faithful, and that being cheated on, I believe, is the worst possible thing someone could go through emotionally. So she put a lot of effort into isolating me and making sure I had to go out to get some type of support by someone, some type of comfort, a human need. And she put so much into making sure everything was just horrible. And I knew what she was doing. I started picking up on this, and I was thinking, she's trying to get sympathy for being cheated on. And she's hoping that I will do that, which I'm just not capable of. So, her mission failed, and she still went out and told people I cheated on her. Her response was, all right, you're talking about Justin. Justin would not cheat on you. Well, not physically, but emotionally. It's like, okay, now you're getting into this ridiculous place where you're changing the definition of cheating. And one thing that my ex-wife made very clear was there's no such thing as emotional cheating. If someone needs to speak to someone for an emotional support, then that is the fault of their partner to not be being open with them, and their partner needs to fix that. And now all of a sudden, that doesn't exist at all. This belief system she's always been so adamant about and spoke about so much no longer exists, and all of the sudden it never existed. But she's a victim of me cheating on her just cuz. Crazy, crazy person. Well, she knew that integrity and all that stuff was very big to me, so she chose to go that route to say that I am a cheater. When she saw how passionate I was about her car, because she told me it had great sentimental value of her mother who had passed. Which, by the way, when I got her a new car, she's like, she's like, I don't care about the other car, just scrap it, whatever, I don't care. After I put $12,000 into that old beat up Chevy Blazer. Now, all of a sudden, it never had sentimental value. But when it did, when it was so important for her to have that car because of what it meant to her. I put a new engine in it. I put new suspension on it. I put the best of the safest tires I could possibly find. I made it a very comfortable ride. I detailed it a lot. Like, detailed it. That would spend, I'd spend 6 or 7 hours really getting into this thing and making it so, very clean. Very clean. And one day I get home from work and my shoes have dirt on them. I knocked off as much as I could, and there were mats in there, okay? There were floor mats in there. I get out, I shower up. I just had a 14-hour day at work, and I need to be up in 8 hours to be back at work. I get home, I shower up real quick, I get some food, and I go to bed, and I see a notification on her Facebook page about, don't you love it when someone says that they'll take care of your things and you marry them and then they completely mistreat your stuff and you get mud and dirt all over your car with absolutely no whatever to you and your feelings or attachment to it? Yeah, I just love that with an eye roll emoji. I looked at her, I got out of bed, I looked at her and I corrected her. I said, I said, it's really interesting that you say that, and your proof for that is because I swapped the engine, I did it, and I started naming everything. I told her, and then you see that I get back from work in order to do all this stuff for you, and instead of you saying, wow, my husband does all this stuff and there's only a little bit of dirt in the car, that's it, I'll clean it up for him, you're like, oh, look it, because of this little tiny thing that's not absolutely perfect to serving me in every single way, means that he's just hurting my stuff and feels sorry for me. Isn't he so horrible for doing all this wonderful stuff and there only being a little bit of dirt in it? Oh my gosh, it's so terrible that that little bit of dirt is in there. I told her, do not smear me and insult me on Facebook and leave all that stuff out of it and make it look like somehow the little bit of dirt in there is totaled your car that I've saved and put so much into all the time for you. I removed her and blocked her, which later on she went in the room screaming, yelling at me. I was about to grab my firearm. She was acting so crazy. I mean, I was terrified. That's when I know, that's the first time I really felt the absolute terror of wanting to break the window and run out and get away from her. That's when I really saw the violence that she was capable of. That was scary. But that's the stuff she would do. She would post things on the internet about me that was completely against every single thing that I believed. And she did this often. When there was something that I was adamant about, passionate about, put a lot of work and effort into, she would go on there and say the opposite. And always in a way for somehow her to be the victim, or her to be the martyr, or her to be courageous. But that's how the covert narcissist can really fuck you up in the head. Is their complete and absolute dismissal of the things that you hold close and dear to you, and the effort they put into lying about you to the public about that thing, so they have a perception of you that is everything that you hate. That's the best way to put it. That's what a covert narcissist focuses on. Now, it's not just a covert narcissist. There are other narcissists that do that too, but those are more malignant narcissists. My father lied about me to absolutely everyone to smear my name, and everything that I worked for and liked, he would tell people the opposite about me. We would have conversations where his position was so disgusting and evil, and those conversations would come back to me with us having opposite positions. He would tell them everything that I said, is what he said and claim everything he said is what I said. When the church brought this to my attention as far as the things going on between my father and I was really creeped out. I told them, he said blah, blah, blah. I said blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget the look on the pastor's face where he says, okay, now everything makes sense. And I felt bad because I did not want to get in the way of the church's workings. But he told me too. He said, "Don't even worry about it, Justin." He said, "Don't even worry about it. We were curious about this because the things he was saying didn't match other people's behaviors." And he said, "But this clears everything up." He put aside 15 minutes to talk to me, but it took 2 minutes. When he saw the look on my face of shock, because no one else in my past ever told me about the lies my father was telling about me to make himself and his wife to look like a victim. But when I was finally brought aside by church leadership and was finally told something as far as what he said, because they were looking to help in the situation, and they saw my response, that made everything clear that this man was a lying manipulator trying to get his way, move his way up there. Then they didn't even know he was a child molester, you know, a pedophile rapist. And, wow. I've caught so many bad guys because of him. Anyways. But yeah, that's the way that I've noticed that they both lie. And, they really are inhuman. And they really do go for things not just to make themselves look great, but also to smear your name and damage you in the most offensive way when it comes to your integrity. It sure is nice out here. I'm gonna roll the windows down now and get some fresh air. Catch you later.